It's the radio on radio, no radio. And today we're talking about what? Keeping it simple. Why are we talking about keeping it simple, you may ask? It's because people in life make things complicated to the point where they become perplexed and it becomes conducive to what? To their whole goal, objective, lifestyle, relationship. It starts just to mess up everything. So you wonder, well, what do you mean by keeping it simple? Well, let's go back. When you first start to build a building, right? You got to make sure you have good dirt. If you don't pay attention to the dirt, it doesn't matter what you build on top of that soil, because if there has an earthquake or environmental disaster, or it just starts to break down from rain, that building could potentially sink, become lopsided, fall over. It just doesn't have a good foundation to begin with. So you have to keep it simple. We have to keep things simple by looking at the fundamentals. Well, what are the fundamentals? Well, one is caring. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Having respect for others, no matter what. Being a good listener. Having a good conversations with different individuals. Actually caring what other people have to say in regards to their family, sharing information. Not necessarily their advice. It depends on who you're talking to and what they're talking to them about. Loving one another. Creating friendships. These are all fundamentals. These are things that are basic things like hygiene. Speaking up about your feelings or sharing your opinion. Letting others know when they're wrong or as far as when they hurt you. Be courteous. Consistent. Stay accountable. These are fundamentals. Like, it's a lot of fundamentals, but the thing is to master the basics, right? Like Bruce Lee always said, be like the water. The water is something, is just something that is so natural about the water. It fits into any position whenever it's molded back or forth. Whenever it's put into a cup, it becomes a cup. Like he said, whenever it is, it finds into a little creek, it finds throughout the cracks. He said, be like water. You got to be flexible with your life. And really, from what Bruce Lee has said, it just means find the basics, stick to the basics, figure out what the basics are for you, and just build on the basics. Because without that good soil, you're not going to be able to build that house you're looking to build. So it doesn't matter how much work you do on top. If the soil is bad, the house is going to go down. The house is going to fall. It lowers the price of your land. You got to understand that. A lot of people, they don't understand these things. And what they'll do is they'll have a bad build on foundations. And you say, oh, well, I grew up in a rough area. I grew up in this type of household. I grew up in that. It's fine. It doesn't matter where we came from, right? And this is why I want you guys to understand. It doesn't matter where you came from or who you are. It only matters what you want and what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. And as long as you keep that in your forefront of your mind, it doesn't matter what your origin is. You could always be a better you. Keeping it simple. Topic is keeping it simple, right? When you're keeping it simple, the difference between winning and losing is going to be to learn when you're stretching yourself, right? Or when you're being overwhelmed. You have to understand the difference between stretching yourself and being overwhelmed. If you feel like you're being overwhelmed, right? If you feel like you're being overwhelmed, the overwhelm is a mindset that you're creating for yourself because you lack in some area. Now, I can't give you guys the answer, obviously, because it could be lacking in anything. Like for me, if I feel like I'm being overwhelmed and, public speaking, it could be a confidence thing. Maybe my confidence isn't strong in that area to feel like I'm being overwhelmed. And another area could be laziness. Maybe I'm doing something wrong or whatever. Or I could be doing it right. It's just that I'm lazy and I don't want to do this much work. And math, it could be, let's say take it to school area. It could be I don't really understand the material. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm just not putting in as much effort as possible as I can. Overwhelm is really a mindset. Success is really a mindset. Everything you're doing for the most part is a perspective and a mindset. And because our mindset separates us from each other, that's why you have winners and losers. You could be a loser and still be you could be a person who has lost and still be a winner. And people are like, well, how can you be a winner if you lost? You not understand what I'm saying? You can lose and still be a winner, because people who are winners have failed several times in a row, several times throughout the years, several times throughout events, situations, circumstances. They've always failed, but because what makes them a winner is that they keep pushing forward. Because you're not a quitter until you stop, and we talked about that in previous videos. So please check out the other videos. But I want to get you to understand that by keeping it simple and just focusing on your dirt right now, just come back and focus on your dirt. Like in church, my bishop always talks about like planting seeds, like laying seeds. You doing this, you sowing seeds. That's the word I'm looking for, sowing seeds. Now in the process of you sowing seeds, you can't just sow seeds in bad dirt. If your dirt is terrible, them seeds will not grow. Is that not the understanding of the basic of foundation? You got to keep it simple. When you get complicated and want to start throwing in pesticides and trying to make your stuff all organic, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that it becomes more complex. Maybe your seeds don't require that complex growing, because you got to understand that a lot of times in our life, right, by us making things complicated, we actually taking away from the simplicity of what we're trying to do or trying to accomplish, and we get distracted by it having to be or look a certain way to other people, not necessarily us. Like if I'm going to school and I want to be a doctor, I can keep it simple and get the A's and B's I need required to, become a doctor, or I can go above and beyond because I want to be looked upon as the Illuminati, Amalama Lucia, or whatever you want to look at. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong against that, but you got to understand, what is your goal when you're doing something? You can be like, oh, I want to be in a relationship, and your goal is to treat the person you want to be with the best you can possibly, right? And another thing is, I want everybody to see us look like this, or I want to be like that, or these me and Bae's goals, and yada, 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 because you want other females or you want other guys to think something about you outside of what you're already doing. And it's, like I said, to each their own. I'm not telling you what you're doing is negative or positive. I'm completely unbiased towards it. But what I'm saying is that you got to understand that when you do such things, they become conducive to your real objective. Do you really want to be seen like this, or do you want to accomplish your goal? Like my goal is to, overall, I'm just going to share my goal with you guys. My goal is to be financially independent from the system, so I don't have to rely on, welfare. I don't have to rely on food stamps. I don't want to rely on any government funding unnecessarily. I want to be able to put people through college without receiving financial aid or having to take out a student loan. That's my goal. My goal is to build up the community, and I care more about the actual action of getting the job done and focusing on my dirt, focusing on my soil, than caring how it's going to look like for when other people look at me. Oh, that's Antoine. They built a statue. I'm not trying to, no, I'm not, that's not what I care about. I care about the actual soil and the dirt. I don't care how it looks. I don't care if you think that, you see me driving my jalopy car. My bishop, my pastor, she always calls her I call them beaters, but she always calls the beat down cars jalopies, right? So let's say you see me driving a jalopy. I don't care how much money you think I got in my pocket. I don't care what you think I'm doing in my life. I don't care what you think I'm doing for the community. I just don't, that's not my goal, because I know that by keeping it simple and focusing straight head going toward my goals, right, that the distractions is everything else. The distractions is the house if you don't focus on the dirt. Because guess what? If I can have all of the nice fancy things and you can see me a certain way, but my inside, I can be a mean person. I could be a person that you wouldn't want to come to for help or for anything. I could be a person that will spit on you and watch a dog die, or, push an old person down. I could be a person like that, but on the outside, I got all these awards that make me look like a magnificent person. But in my inside, my dirt is bad. So I'm trying to make sure that my dirt is not bad, my soil is good. And that's why I'm coming to you guys to tell you today, the topic for the day, keep it simple. Now remember, my goal is not to change who you are. It's just to give you another perspective on the same thing. So please like, share, comment, hate, love, Tell me you like this way. Tell me you like it that way. It's the radio on the radio, no radio. We're out.